Today, I'm going to show you how an orphan who lost absolutely everything created Rolex, the most powerful luxury brand on the planet. And the craziest part? It only happened because he escaped from an orphanage, crossed countries, and bet everything on an idea no one believed in. And a quick warning, I'm not selling anything in this video. No courses, no magical links. My only request is that you pay full attention, because there are deep lessons here. Rolex. Today that name is synonymous with luxury, innovation, and achievement. But what almost no one knows is that it all started with tragedy, and with the unshakable determination of a boy who lost everything as a child. He lost both of his parents in less than a year, watched his inheritance disappear, ended up in an orphanage, surrounded by people who didn't want him there. And even so, he refused to settle. He fled his city, crossed borders, and decided to rebuild his life from zero. That courage would open the path to discovering his true passion, watchmaking. And this is where his story truly begins. Let's go back to 1881 and follow the journey of Hans Wilsdorf, the orphan who created Rolex. Chapter 1, Forged by Loss. Hans was born in 1881 in a small German town called Kulmbach. His family was middle class and ran a hardware store that had existed for generations. Nothing luxurious, nothing extravagant. But they lived well, until everything collapsed. In 1892, Hans's mother died. A year later, his father passed away too. At 12 years old, he was an orphan, homeless, groundless. His maternal uncles took custody, sold the family business, and placed Hans and his siblings in a boarding school that also served as an orphanage. From that point on, life became even harsher. Hans was treated like an outsider, ridiculed, often attacked simply because of his religion. But he found a refuge, studying. He loved reading and devoured everything. Languages, math, literature. Every subject felt like a door to a world he hadn't discovered yet. He learned French and English, not because he had to, but because he sensed that his future would be outside Germany. And at school, he met a Swiss classmate who spoke passionately about his hometown, La Chaux-de-Fonds, the capital of Swiss watchmaking. A place where every street breathed precision and craftsmanship. Hans listened to those stories and held on to a quiet desire to see that world. Chapter 2. New Horizons. At 19, he already knew. If he wanted to change his life, he had to leave Germany. So he went to Geneva alone with nothing but determination. He secured an internship at a company that exported pearls. The job was simple: buying, sorting, classifying, and shipping pearls to jewelers. But it was there that he had an insight that would change his mindset forever. The company didn't produce anything, yet it made a lot of money. That fascinated him. He started observing not just the product, but the system behind the product. Margins, logistics, negotiation. It was the foundation of a business education he'd use for the rest of his life. One day, he received a letter from that Swiss friend offering him an opportunity at a major watch manufacturer, Kuno Korten. Located where? Exactly, La Chaux-de-Fonds. Hans didn't think twice. He moved to the city of his dreams and began working as an English correspondent, earning little but learning a lot. He wound hundreds of watches a day, tested their accuracy, and learned directly from master watchmakers. It was a living laboratory. After a few years, he had to return briefly to Germany to fulfill military service. As soon as he finished, he moved to London. There, he worked at another watch company, this time involved in sales and commercial expansion. He met his future wife, Florence, built connections, learned what truly makes a product win the market. And inside him, a dream was growing: to create his own company. Chapter 3. The Power of Partnership. In a honest conversation with his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, Hans revealed his plan. Even though he was young, he believed he could revolutionize the wristwatch market, which at the time was seen as fragile, feminine, and unreliable. Alfred believed in him. He invested the necessary money. And in 1905, with a simple handshake, Wilsdorf and Davis was born. The duo specialized in importing high-quality Swiss movements and assembling them in England. It was a fast, smart, and efficient operation. But Hans had already identified a huge problem in the market. Almost no one took wristwatches seriously, especially men. Small models were inaccurate, they ran fast or slow, and were seen as accessories, not instruments. Hans refused to accept that. To him, relying on a pocket watch was impractical, especially when you needed free hands. So he made a bold prediction. Pocket watches will disappear. Wristwatches will dominate the world. Almost no one believed him. Chapter 4. The Birth of Rolex. Hans understood something few people valued at the time. Branding is everything. He wanted a short, elegant name, easy to pronounce in any language, and perfectly sized to fit on a watch dial. After countless tests, he created a word that meant nothing, but sounded like a symbol: Rolex. He registered the name in 1908. The company's reputation grew rapidly, but then World War I broke out. While many businesses shut down, something interesting happened. Soldiers needed practical watches, and wristwatches were far more convenient than pocket watches. Suddenly, the world began to see what Hans had always known. The future was on the wrist. Rolex gained credibility, became synonymous with extreme precision, earned major certifications, but also faced challenges, including heavy taxes in England and discrimination against Germans during the war, which led Hans to move the company to Switzerland. It was there that Rolex adopted its most iconic symbol, the five-pointed crown. And from that point onward, Rolex would be Swiss forever. Chapter 5. The Master of Marketing. In 1926, Hans introduced something revolutionary: the Rolex Oyster, the first truly waterproof wristwatch. But inventing isn't enough. The world has to believe. So he did something brilliant. He invited Mercedes Gleitze, a British swimmer, to cross the English Channel wearing an oyster around her neck, more than 10 hours in freezing water. She nearly froze. But the watch? It worked perfectly. Hans turned this into a newspaper headline, filled store windows with aquariums displaying watches working underwater, hired famous models, and associated the brand with pilots, explorers, and speed record holders. It wasn't empty marketing, it was social proof. It was engineering pushed to its limits, and it worked. Rolex became a global phenomenon. Chapter 6. Transforming the market. The innovation never stopped. In 1931, the Oyster Perpetual was born, the first automatic, waterproof wristwatch. Later, during and after World War II, Rolex faced difficulties but continued to grow. Hans lost his wife, and in her honor, he transferred 100% of the company to the Wilsdorf Foundation, ensuring that Rolex would never be sold, never go public, and never be controlled by shareholders. This structure allowed the brand to think long-term, no short-term pressure, no compromise on quality. Then came the icons. Datejust, 1945. Day-Date, 1956. Submariner, 1953. The watch that transformed. Professional diving. Each one brought real innovation, a solution to a practical problem, always with the same essence: precision and durability. Hans Wilsdorf died in 1960, but his vision had already shaped history. From an orphan who started with nothing came the greatest watch brand on the planet. Conclusion. So, what does this story leave for you? That vision without action is just fantasy, and action without vision is wasted effort. Hans had both. He saw ahead, built slowly, proved everything with facts, and never negotiated with his own ambition. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next narrative documentaries. And if you want to keep diving into the stories of brilliant minds, click the next recommendation appearing on your screen right now. See you there.